Welcome to the Keyvan Davani Connection Show. My cousin Arman Tale is back again on my show. I'm so honored and pleased to have him back on. Arman, how are you doing, man?
Hey, Keyvan. Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
You really rock, man. I mean, with all the work and you're doing on the side now, you've prepared a super tutorial, let's say basic tutorial for the average user, for the noobs, for anybody out there who wants to run a fully self-sovereign Lightning node. So Arman, why don't you just, in your own words, why should people run their own full node and their own self-sovereign Lightning node? What is it? Why are we doing this? What's the purpose? Thank you so much.
So yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me, Keyvan. So we'll go through the slides, but just to give a quick run through. So this is something that you have the chance to do. Otherwise, I mean, there are some like mobile wallets that are like fully non-custodial. You can use them, but personally, like I prefer to use my own Lightning node, which is fully non-custodial. And I mean, if you want to contribute to the second layer network, if you want to provide some liquidity, it's better to do it with your own node. Then you can manage your channels, manage the fees, the routing fees, and all those stuff. And of course, by doing it, you truly understand it. And that's why you need to have a Lightning full node to be able to do it and understand it, how it goes, and understand the basic terminology and all this stuff. And you can, on top of that, earn some routing fees, depending. I mean, we're gonna go through it, but yeah, that's pretty much like why you should run a Lightning node. But yeah, maybe we can start the presentation. I actually have a slide which explains why you should run a Lightning node in different points. So I share my screen. Do you see my screen?
Yes, crystal clear.
Okay, great. So the agenda, the points that we're gonna go through, first, we will take a look at the hardware specification recommendation. I mean, what kind of hardware is the best suited for running the node. And of course, if you're running your full Bitcoin node, I mean, you can run on top of it, but we will come up with the best recommendation that's out there. Then slightly going through how to set up the Lightning node. Then I will describe the terminology, like the basic terminology of when you run a node, like what is inbound, outbound, local, remote capacity, and all this stuff. Then we'll show how to open a channel and creating a liquidity swap using a platform called Lightning Network Plus. Then we'll explain what is rebalancing and how to do rebalancing, but that's a huge topic on its own. We'll just touch it slightly. Routing fees, what's a routing fees, and how to change routing fees. And then watchtowers, what are the watchtowers, and how to actually implement them on your own node. One of my favorite features is the Telegram API using the Balance of Satoshi's app, which is developed by Alex Bosworth. We will cover that one as well. And last but not least, we'll show the loop services, which you can gain inbound and outbound liquidity on your channels. So yeah, before that, I mean, I already mentioned why you should run a Lightning node. So you will have access to the Lightning network in full non-custodial way by running your own node. And as I said, you will truly understand how it works once you get your hands a bit dirty and you work with it and you see it in action. It's quite satisfying, to be honest. And of course, you can basically, if you provide some liquidity on the second layer, you are basically contributing and supporting the the Lightning Network, the second layer network. And the famous aspect of it, I mean, don't trust, verify, which is famous among the Bitcoiners. I mean, as I said, there are non-custodial mobile wallets, but again, for running the full node, if you're gonna make swaps with other plebs like you are totally having a higher degree of privacy. And on top of that, depending on how you create your channels, how you define the routing fees, you can earn some routing fee on the routings that are going through your node. Basically, we'll go through them, but just here are the main points that basically shows why you should run a Lightning node. You don't have to, but if you want, you can easily do so. Regarding the hardware specs, so of course you need a Raspberry Pi 4 Model B. The 8 GB RAM is recommended. That's very important, even though you can use 4 GB RAM, but that will somehow not allow you to run all the application on your node all simultaneously, because your RAM will get overloaded. So just if you don't have the hardware yet, just go ahead ordering the 8 GB RAM. And SSD at least 1 TB plus. You can still run with hard disk drive, HDD, but it will affect your the operation speed as well as the initial blockchain download speed. Even though, like, if you're running my node, you can activate the quick sync, which is somehow basically downloads the initial. Basically, it will speed up the blockchain synchronization. But if you want to start from scratch, if you go with hard drive, it will take you at least 2 months to synchronize the whole blockchain. So yeah, it's recommended to have an SSD at least 1 TB. If you can just go with 2 TB, it will be much better for future. Micro SD card at least 16 GB. And regarding the power supply, make sure to use the original Raspberry Pi power supply, because otherwise there has been a lot of cases that people have been basically experiencing the voltage outage, and that was mainly because of the power supply. So make sure you read the specs of your power supply. It has to be like it is mentioned here. And your cooling system is also very important. So make sure you get a case which has a really good cooling system. I know that the original Raspberry Pi cooling case is not the best one. The cooling system is not really good. If you can afford basically the cases with the cooling fans and with the proper fins, heat sinks on your CPU and RAM, that will help a lot. Because otherwise, if the heat, basically if the temperature of your CPU exceeds around 80 degrees, your CPU will throttle, and then basically it might crash. Then you have to restart your Raspberry Pi. Yeah, and Arman, let me just add from my own experience, maybe it's useful for the potential listener out there. I finally found out I do not have the original Raspberry Pi power supply for my Raspberry 4. So I just ordered it, the original part, because I have this the Casa 2 setup, and that was Raspberry 4 with the SSD. But because it was sort of a pre-packaged thing, they didn't deliver, or it didn't come with the original power supply. So, and because of that, I didn't not only have undervoltage, but also co-responsible for that, the CPU throttling. So, okay. So I think it plays into one another. So as soon as I get back home, I'm going to replace the power supply, and hopefully. I also, did improvise and put a cooling tower on top of it with the cooling pads and the cooling glue, so maybe you can do your own research, the potential use out there. But it's really important that you keep your temperature. I heard, it would be preferable if it was something like maximum between 30 and 40, Exactly. Yeah. So that's. Yes, because it affects your speed, and yeah, you can easily monitor it. like while you're using the app, especially like once you run your Lightning node, it will engage the CPU a lot. And if you don't have a proper cooling system, it can easily exceed the 80 degrees. So yeah, that's about the hardware. Yeah, as I said earlier, you can run a 4 GB RAM, but you might face some difficulties. But in case you already have a 4 GB RAM, there is a feature in MyNode. So I'm a user of MyNode, and I mean, there are some stuff that are pretty common. I mean, it's exactly the same in Umbrel, but you might see some screenshots which are basically MyNode specific. And for the MyNode users, if you're using 4 GB RAM, if you go in your settings under advanced and under swap dropdown, there is a dropdown which is called swap. The default is 2 GB, and you can raise it to 4 GB. Especially if you have a hard drive or SSD of at least 1 TB, you need to have basically some space on your hard drive, and it will somehow utilize your hard drive, and it avoids overloading of your RAM. It will help you a bit, but it's better to just go with the 8 GB RAM on for your Raspberry Pi. So then setting up the Lightning node itself, I mean, I just imagine you already have set up your hardware. So this is just the software aspect of it. And it's MyNode. As I said, I'm a MyNode user. I believe the Umbrel users, it's much easier than MyNode. But yeah, just for setting up, you click on the Lightning wallet on the main page, and it will show you an option of creating the wallet, and then it will show you the seed phrases. This is important to take basically write down all the seed words, the seed phrase, put it in somewhere safe. But it's important to mention these seed phrases is only for recovering your on-chain wallet on your Lightning node. I will cover the backup for your Lightning channels later on, because in case if something goes wrong with your node and you already have some open channels, your seed phrase is not gonna recover your funds on your Lightning channels. Your seed phrase only recovers your on-chain wallet on your Lightning node. You need your static channel backup, which we will go through further on, how to take the backup, how to have it on regular basis. But yeah, this is important. This is part of the recovery. For the recovery of your Lightning node, you need to have the seed phrase. So write it down, keep it somewhere safe, like your other seeds in another country, in different locations. And then, yeah, then it will ask you to re-enter your seed, basically to make sure you have typed it correctly. And yeah, then your Lightning node is running. That's the page you will see. And yes, then once you have that running, you can use two of the interfaces that are already included in MyNode. These applications, right? The Lightning RTL and ThunderHub. ThunderHub is for the pro users. So basically, if you have the license of MyNode, otherwise, if you have the basic plan, you only have access to RTL. I mean, of course, you can communicate with your node using the terminal of your node. I mean, you have to use all the commands, but these are the applications, the user interface that you're gonna communicate easily with your node and do all this stuff that we're gonna show you further on. As for mobile apps, you can pair your mobile app with your node. So there's a section in your Lightning node that's basically you click on pair wallet, and then from the drop down, you choose which wallet you want to pair with. So Zeus is my favorite, and then because of the fact that you have a lot of options, that basically you have pretty much most of the options that you can control on your mobile app, the same option, the same stuff that you can control on your PC. I mean, on the RTL or ThunderHub. So you have manual on-chain fee input for opening the channels or sending transactions. You can even manage the fee of your channels on the go from the mobile app, as well as you can manage your UTXOs of your basically on-chain wallet. Zap is somewhere in middle for me, because you can still open and close channels, but you cannot manually put in the fee that you want to change, that you want to pay for the on-chain transaction. or you cannot, for example, you cannot manage the fee of the channels on the app. Maybe they will come up with the new updates that will give you basically more features on the app. And Blue Wallet is my least favorite because it is only basically if you pair it with your Blue Wallet, you cannot manage any channels. You can basically receive payments and then send in that case. So you can basically do the receive and payment part of it, but you cannot really manage your node.
Yeah, and it's also my least favorite wallet because I still have I have an Android. I have a super, Android super smartphone, a no name, from Meizu, but it's still Android version 8 or something, 8 something. So you need at least a version 9 upwards in order to install or update, because I used to have Blue Wallet. It used to work, but now it doesn't, because it's just only compatible with Android version 9, 10 upwards, something like that. So just for the maybe information.
But I think I've seen it somewhere that they are coming up with new updates that will give you the full non-custodial management of your node. I think at this point it is somehow restricted to some users. A normal user don't have it, but I think at some point they are coming with some interesting updates. But at this point of time, the on-chain wallet is really my favorite. Blue Wallet, like especially for like if you want to watch some of your wallets, watching the public keys, and it connects to your Electrum server as well. But when it comes to Lightning, no, it is. I don't like it at the moment. So yeah, that's about setting up the basic setup. And now we're gonna go ahead and basically fund our Lightning wallet on-chain wallet basically. So first you need to fund your on-chain wallet on your Lightning node. And then once you have funded that, you can start creating channels and basically transfer those sats on a Lightning network on second layer. So from RTL, it's easy. From the panel on the left, you have the section which is called on-chain. Click on it, and you can generate SegWit or legacy address. You generate the address. It will show you the address as well as the QR code. You can just fund it. In Thunder Hub, pretty much the same. On your home screen, you have 2 sections, Lightning and Bitcoin. Click on receive, just choose what kind of address you want, and then fund it. And before moving forward, I'm gonna go through the terminology that are mainly used in the community. And these are the stuff that you need to understand first, then in order to be able to basically start playing around with your Lightning node and start creating channels. So here I'm showing one channel that I have opened, and you see there are 2,000 satoshis. This is 2 million satoshis. This is the total capacity of the channel, and you can see that all of those funds are at the left-hand side, which are shown as a blue bar. And this means, let's say left-hand side is my side. I have opened the channels. This is the capacity that I am able to send. And that is known as local balance, or you can call it outbound liquidity. So this is the liquidity that I am able to spend, I am able to send. And on the other side, which I don't have any capacity, that is the capacity that I'm able to receive. That is called remote balance or inbound liquidity, how much liquidity can come inside my channel. But at this point of time, I cannot have any, I cannot receive any sats on my channel. I don't have any capacity on that channel. So in order to have some capacity on that channel, I mean, there are different ways that we'll go through it later on. But let's say in this case, I make a payment. I use my channel, I buy something from using Lightning Network, I pay 1 million satoshis using that channel. And now, as you can see, my channel is somehow balanced. So 1 million satoshi is deducted from my side, from my local or outbound liquidity, but I have opened the same amount on my remote or inbound liquidity. So now I can start receiving payments up to 1 million Satoshis using that channel. And if I send another 1 million Satoshis, so I will use all of my funds on my side, but this is just for simplicity. If you open 2 million Satoshis channel, you won't be able to use all of those funds because a bit of that is going to be reserved as a commit fee in case of closing the channel. Like you might be able to spend 1,998,000 Satoshis, something around that. And yeah, vice versa, if someone opens a channel with you, or if you start receiving payments from that channel, basically you see that your local balance or outbound liquidity will increase and your remote balance will shrink. Before showing how to open a channel, I will just go through some of the tips that, I mean, not tips, some of the maybe recommendations and yeah, some hints. I am personally not a fan of making channels with the big merchants. I mean, in case if you want to just use it as a payment, of course, you can just open one channel, one big channel with, I don't know, with Bitrefill or Wallet of Satoshi, and yeah, do make your payments. But when you look at the big picture, these merchant nodes, they already have a lot of liquidity and a lot of channels on their side. And if you think about it in the big picture, if everyone is just opening channel with them, there is this ethos of decentralization in the community. Of course, the miners are keeping the whole network decentralized. And I believe plebs, the people who are running nodes, running Lightning nodes, it's their responsibility to somehow keep it decentralized. And that is only possible by making routes and making channels among each other. And at some point, you just need one route to one of these big merchants. But if all the nodes keep opening channels with all the big merchants, it's going to get somehow centralized. So that's where we get to, like, I'm saying, find plebs nodes with a high quality, which like they have high capacity, and more channels with the similar nodes. And then you might ask, okay, how to find a good node? That is not a simple question to answer, but you can use different platforms like oneml.com or ambush.space. You can see the information of the nodes, how much capacity they have, what's the public address, how many channels they have. But I personally use one of the I think these days it's really well known, Lightning Network Plus platform. I don't really bother like searching for nodes. I try to find out swaps that are really good, or I try to open my own swap and then ask other nodes to join in. I don't want to overwhelm the users. I will show you how it looks like. So Lightning Network Plus is like a platform that is basically just for communicating among the nodes and finding each other and basically agreeing with each other to create channels and then create a swap together. I will show you the platform shortly, but before that, let me finalize the tips. At the moment, somehow the minimum channel size is recommended somewhere around 1 million Satoshis, especially if you want to earn some routing fees. But over time, this might, I mean, let's see, it might reduce depending on how much liquidity is on the network. But you shouldn't really open a very, very small channel because your commit fee will increase if the mempool gets crowded, and then you cannot use the channel. Yeah, but 1 million Satoshi at the moment is somewhere that is somehow recommended at least. And be patient. Do not pay high on-chain fees when you want to open the channels. Just do it when during the time that the mempool is not really crowded. So I personally, I think I haven't paid more than 1 Satoshi per value byte for opening my channels, at least for like 95% of my channels. I'm being patient because you don't want to waste those sats for opening channels.
Yeah, and maybe one warning, because from my own experience, do not force close a channel because it's going to cost you a lot of sats, lots of sats.
Yes.
So just be patient again, just I think I don't know what's the procedure. Maybe you can explain that. Like, how do you, if you want to close, like, do you have like to notify the other person, and the other person needs to, on the other end of the channel needs to confirm, or just, I don't know.
So if on top of that, as you said, if you force close it, your fund also gets locked for a duration of time, which is, it can be up to 2 weeks, depending on how long is the lock time that is defined by the other node. So you can end up like not having access to your fund for up to 2 weeks. But if both of the nodes are online, you don't have to do much. I mean, you just close the channel, and then the other node will confirm it, and then it should be back on your on-chain wallet as soon as the on-chain transaction is confirmed, depending how much you, yeah. But in your case, was the other node offline when you force closed it?
I think so. I think it was even with BTC sessions. It was just, I don't know. I was just trying to learn and test it out, and I didn't think, I didn't really do my own homework before that. So I just force closed it. I just wanted to know what happens, So
Yeah,
it was just naive and stupid. But I notified in a private DM BTC sessions, Ben.
mm-hmm.
And then but at the end of the day, it's not his fault, because the cost that was sort of incurred on me for force closing it was still lots of sats. I'm not even sure how much it was, but yeah, I think
you don't want to waste those sats.
Yeah. It's so stupid, but that's how you learn, so
Yeah,
I guess.
absolutely. So then yeah, let me show you the Lightning Network Plus, where you can create liquidity swaps. And what that means you can easily receive inbound liquidity. So at first glance, you might say, okay, once you open a channel, that means you are only able to send payments, depending on to who you open the channel to. Of course, if you just open it with a node who only has one channel with you, you can only make payments to that specific node. But in order to have inbound liquidity, you either, as I showed you earlier in the terminology section, you either have to make a payment in order to gain some inbound liquidity on your channel, or you need to use one of the services like Loop or Swap, but that will cost you some sats. You need to, for example, I will show you how does Loop work later on. Or you can buy inbound liquidity from, for instance, Bitrefill. You will pay like $10 or $12, depending on how much capacity you want, and they will open a channel with you.
Okay, which procedure, Arman, is the most, let's say, noob friendly, or less, less technical, or you have to, maybe put up with less, headache?
Lightning Network Plus.
Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's what we're gonna show now. So this is a really, really great platform for all the players, and really easy to use. It might, at first sight, it might seem a bit overwhelming, but once you get to it, you see that it is not that hard. And also, I mean, privacy aspects, as I said, you don't want to have all your channels with the big merchants. You want to have channels with some nodes, plebs nodes, and basically, yeah, then your payments. Because if you have all your channels with the big merchant, again, like all your transactions can get recorded, something like that, because if your transaction goes through a routing path, only the node that routed that payment can see the inbound and outbound peer, but yeah, that's why I'm mentioning the privacy aspects here. So you want to have channels with the high quality plebs nodes. So let me show you the Lightning Network Plus. So once you you log into the, I mean, once you go into the website, you need to register for the first time, and you just need to register with an email address and yeah, create a password, and you need to copy your Lightning address, which you can find easily from your Lightning node panel or from RTL Thunder Hub. You can find it in many different places. And then you just sign up. And then what you will see, you will see these swaps, which can be triangle, a square, or pentagon. What does it mean? So if you look at the picture, for example, this swap, there are three nodes that basically they agree that they will open channels with each other. So A will book a place at a position A, and then B joins in, and then C joins in. And then once everyone sits at their corresponding place, A opens a channel with, so here they agree that they open 1 million Satoshi channel with each other. A opens to B, B opens to C, C opens to A. So each node will have two channels at the same time. One channel is going out, giving him outbound liquidity. The other channel coming from the neighboring node, coming in, giving him inbound liquidity. And then there is the comment section. You can easily communicate with each other. You can, for example, agree that everyone set their fees to 0 temporarily, and someone can do the routing, the rebalancing. So basically, if let's say if you have opened the 1 million Satoshi channel with node B and node C have created one channel coming towards you, you can rebalance the channel, and you will receive 500,000 Satoshis on both sides, on both channels, and only one node has to do the rebalancing in order to do that. Or otherwise, like in some cases, you can just, someone will volunteer to do the rebalancing, and then it will put the invoice for the other nodes to pay the routing fee that the node has paid.
Oh, so it needs to be managed sort of internally, you mean, like who carry the costs or something? Yeah.
Yes. So let me show you here. I think I have the. So here is the screenshot of. So I have been basically joining a swap. I don't know if I was A or B, but whatever. So once the swap is completed, so this platform is only for like communication among the nodes. You will see the address of the node that you have to open the channel to. You just copy this, and then you go back to your Lightning node. You go back to RTL or Thunder Hub. I will show you how to open a channel afterwards. And then you open your channel from your own node. And then once you open a channel, you come back to LN Plus, to the swap, and then you click on channel opening started. So you are signing to the other nodes that you have already opened the channel. And then if the neighboring node has received the channel, he can confirm that he received it, and he can give you a positive feedback. If you're lying, you will get a negative feedback, and it will affect your profile, and then no one wants to open a channel with you. So you don't have to do much technical stuff in here. This is only for creating like a contract among the nodes, saying that, okay, we agree that we are 4 nodes that have joined this 2 million Satoshi swap. We agree that we open channel with each other. I am A and you are B. I agree that I will open a channel to you, and D will open a channel to A, and C to D, and as you can see in the picture. And then afterwards, if you decide, you can rebalance the channels in order that all the channels will have equal capacity on both sides, and inbound and outbound. And to do so, only one node has to be volunteer to do it. Because let's say I am node A and I have a channel going towards B with a capacity of 2 million Satoshis. And D has already opened the 2 million Satoshis to me. And the way that rebalancing works, I pay half of that channel. Let's say I want to pay 1 million Satoshis, and I want to receive it on this channel, the channel that is coming from D. So it has to go through all of them. It has to go through B, C, and D, and then I will get it back on this channel. So this channel that I have, it will get to half, my outbound liquidity will cut to 1 million, and then the other 1 million will be received on the other channel. But I have to pay the routing fee to B, C, and D, the routing fee that they set on their channel, which I will show you how to define a routing fee later on. But then in the Lightning Network Plus, you can communicate with each other. Either you agree that everyone set their fees to 0 temporarily, but some people, I mean, I also don't really want to do it, because sometimes if you set it to 0, your channel might get drained. You might route some transaction right away, and then your channel, then you cannot do the rebalancing, because like you might have that specific channel might be part of one of the routings for another transaction. But then you can say, all right, just node B is he's going to be the volunteer to do the rebalancing. I'm saying, okay, you just do the rebalancing. Whatever fee you are paying to my node, just send me the invoice. I will pay you back. So it's just a way of communicating.
Gotcha. But it's sort of the advantage versus, doing it in, within the whatever Thunderhub or RTL, like, is it more like automated and more by default, some processes like?
So as I said, here is just the platform to, so you cannot open channels in here. You cannot do the rebalancing in here. This is only to make a contract among each other, right, to agree that all these 4 nodes gonna open a 2 million Satoshi channel to each other. You still have to go back to your own Lightning node and do all this stuff. But as we said earlier, this is a really good and easy way to get inbound liquidity, because you are not paying for it. You are not, otherwise you have to convince someone to open a channel with you. And you either have to buy it from Bitrefill, or you have to pay services. You have to pay to loop services, do loop out, but then it costs you some sats. But this is really an easy way. And at the same time, when you think about it, so once you complete this swap and you are sure that you are A, and you're sure that B has already a channel with C, C has to D, D has to A, and you already have indirect channel with all these other nodes, and all these other nodes, they are in other swaps. So you already have indirect channels with all the other swaps. So that's another point of it. So yeah, it is like, yeah, these swaps are already like a node, and you all get interconnected to each other. So yeah, that's about Lightning liquidity swap using Lightning Network Plus. I really urge everyone to just go ahead and sign up there. Really easy. You can even then sign in with your with your Lightning, just signing a Lightning signature. And then, yeah, just create an account, verify your Lightning, just claim your Lightning node. You have to just claim it. And yeah, searching for swaps. You can search for swaps. So for the, at the moment, for instance, there are plenty. You can even select the shape, but let's say how many open for application do we have? So we have 7 at the moment. Some of them, they have restrictions. So for instance, in this one, you need to have at least 30 open channels with a minimum of 30 million Satoshis capacity on your node. Otherwise, you won't be able to join in this swap. But in some cases, or even you can start your own swap. Once you register, you can create your own little triangle swap with, let's say, 500,000 Satoshis without any restrictions. So then it will get filled really fast. And then you follow the procedure there. Really easy. All right. So let's move to how to open a channel. So yeah, let's say now you have finalized the swap. You see the Lightning address of the node that you have to open the channel to. In RTL, first you need to add the peer, which basically you have to go in the panel in the Lightning section, peer and channels. You go under peer section, and then you add peer. you simply copy the address that you either got it in the swap or from 1ML or Ambush or wherever. You just copy it, and your peer gets added. And then on the second page, basically, you will have an option to basically you just put in the capacity of the channel, how much, how big the channel do you want to be, and you can choose the transaction fee. So in this case, as I said, I always try to do it when it is not when the mempool is not crowded. Just put 1 Satoshi per value byte. Private channel. So this is in a case that if you want to open a channel with a node that won't be really engaged in routings, but yeah, I don't really use it. But in case if you want to have a private connection with a specific node that you're gonna have transactions going back and forth, you can just activate private channel, and then your channel will be private. But then, yeah, there won't be routings on that channel going through, and it won't be broadcasted to the network. And I mean, you cannot even see it on the on 1ML or Ambush. You cannot see that there is such a channel on your node. And for instance, in the case of liquidity swap, you shouldn't really create private channel because other nodes won't see your channel, and you cannot, so they don't see a connection in the swap. Your swap won't be connected. It won't be a complete swap. Spend unconfirmed output. This is in a case that, let's say you have already funded your on-chain wallet, and your transaction is still not confirmed, but you can already open a channel using this function. This is somehow like the feature of child pay for parent. So what's it called? CPFP? Yeah, I think so. So it broadcasts an additional transaction on top of that unconfirmed UTXO, and confirm both of them at the same time. So this is in a case that you are in a rush, like you already have funded your on-chain wallet, but it hasn't been confirmed.
But isn't that the RBF? Like what do you call?
Yeah, RBF is different. Replaced by fee. Replaced by fee. You basically raise the fee of the existing transaction, but in this case, you create an additional transaction out of the UTXO that is not confirmed, and you create a higher fee on that as well.
Oh, I gotcha.
And that transaction will be the transaction for creating that channel. The initial transaction is the transaction coming to your Lightning on-chain wallet, and the second transaction is the transaction for creating the Lightning channel. That was RTL. In Thunder Hub, the principle is the same. It's just different user interface. So you go under channels. If the peer is new, you just click yes. If it is not new, if it is already part of your peer list, you just select the peer. But in this case, we say it's a new peer. You just copy paste the same public key. The channel size, as I said, you just type in the capacity of your channel. Push tokens to the partner. You don't want to do it. I mean, that means that like you're paying that capacity, that liquidity will be pushed forward to the other node. It will be their outbound liquidity or their local balance. Type public, private. We already covered what private mean. And fee, again, just type in manually 1 Satoshi per value byte. And then, yeah, I'm gonna touch the rebalancing. Rebalancing itself, it's a huge topic. Like, it worth to mention. I mean, in some cases, does it worth to do the rebalancing or not? Because there are many different parameters involving there. Like some channels, they might be, you might be routing a lot of liquidity on some channels that you are earning some routing fees on them. But then at some point when they are, basically when they're drained, you don't have any local or outbound liquidity on those channels. But then you have some channels which you have a lot of outbound liquidity, but you're not really using them for routing. You can rebalance those channels or send some outbound liquidity from one specific channel. So for example, in this case, you see that these channels that I'm showing, these are not balanced at all. So the ones with the dark green, is it green or blue? Yeah, with the darker color, they are the ones that all the capacity are on my side. They are outbound liquidity, and there is one here with the light blue. The whole capacity is on the peer side. The whole capacity is outbound liquidity for me. Inbound liquidity for me. So you can do the rebalancing from the action drop down. Click on circular rebalance. It will ask you how much do you want to rebalance, and then from which peer you want to receive it from. But this will not always work, because it has to find a routing, the routing path. And you have to define what is the maximum fee that you want to pay for the routing, because in some cases you might have to end up paying a lot of routing fee that it might not really worth to do the rebalancing. So that's why it's a really huge topic. There are some applications. I haven't really worked with it, but I have been reading, I think it's LND Manage, that somehow sorts your channels based on how much routing you're doing, like on specific channels, and does it worth to do the rebalancing? It will show you how much does it cost you to do the rebalancing, but that is really a much more technical topic. I don't want to go through it, but just to tell you what does circular rebalancing actually mean. So it means you send some of the capacity on the channel that you have as an outbound liquidity that you have, and you receive it on another channel. But you need to have enough receiving capacity on the other channel, and you have to cover the cost. You have to cover the routing cost, because it might end up going through different peers until it reaches that specific channel, and you have to cover all those routing fees that are defined by the other nodes.
Can you predict the cost already? Do you see that once you go on, I don't know, once you initiate this process? I mean, or do you know that? Will you know that afterwards? When you say you have to pay the cost. Do you know that in advance once?
Before there is in RTL, it will show you an estimation of fee, but it's totally crap. It just takes the fee of the first routing peer, the first node. But there is this website which I really like it. It's called LN Node Insights. Mm-hmm. You can do some analysis here, but there is a rebalance simulator that you can choose from which peer to which peer you want to rebalance. And but I guess you have to pay 200 Satoshis invoice, and it will show you. It is still. I've been actually asking them if there is, because I really like the way that they are doing you can build your own chart, you can do some rough analysis here. They still don't have fixed period subscription. They have you have to pay 200 Satoshi invoice for one analysis, for one,
Yeah.
But maybe at some point I was saying maybe they will come up with a prepaid half a year, 1 year plan. But as for now, I still don't know any other way to figure out how much it costs.
Okay, because and it depends. Does it depend on the mempool, right? Too. I mean, is that
no, it doesn't have anything to do with mempool. Gotcha. This is only dependent on the fee that all the individual peers, or not the peers, all the individual nodes.
It's not on chain, right?
No, it is based on the fee. I will cover what kind of fee we have. We have two type of fees, but it depends on how much fee the peer that your payment is going through has to pay to the peer, to the node. So some of the nodes might have a higher fee, even though the network tries to find out the cheapest possible way. But in some cases, some of the peers the nodes might have defined a higher fee. And in order to reach that specific receiving channel, it has only one chance to go through that peer, to go through that node. I keep saying peer. It might not be your peer, but there is another node. And yeah, basically it is only the routing fee that you have to cover on the second layer. But there is also a way to do it from the terminal of your node. But again, like once you do it, you can even define from which hops you want the payment to go through. But we'll just do it right away. I was actually expecting to show an estimation of fee and then ask me to confirm, but it doesn't. It will just do it and then it will show you it has deducted like, I don't know, like 2,000 Satoshis. But maybe there is another way. I still don't know. Maybe someone knows, can comment. But yeah, lnnodeinsight.com. This is one of the ways I know, but you have to pay 200 Satoshis. And now we get to backup section, which is very important. So as you remember, I mentioned earlier, when you had to write down your seed, you need a static channel backup in order to recover your funds, your off-chain funds, the funds on your open channels. A static channel backup, or SCB, basically sends the funds to your on-chain wallet. Once you want to recover your node, it will close all the channels and recover them on your on-chain wallet. And it's very, very important and crucial that you have to download your SCB recovery backup whenever there is a new open channel or whenever there is any channel being closed. Otherwise, you might face some difficulties. I didn't have any issues so far, but I know that this is very crucial. You always have to make sure you have the latest static channel backup showing the status of your channels. So these are the manual ways. I will show you the coolest version that you can have it later on in the Telegram API section. But this is the manual way that you can download it. So from RTL at the top left side, you can see on the panel, you go in the backup section, backup all, and you download backup. It will be a very small TXT file. For the MyNode users on your dashboard, your Lightning status dashboard, you also have a direct button for basically downloading the channel backup. And for Thunder Hub, you can get it under Tools, backup all channels, and you download it. So that's very important to keep in mind. Yeah, I'm gonna explain briefly about the routing fees. We talked about it a bit, but it's important to know there are two types of fees that are basically considered in the Lightning Network. Base fee is the basic fee that you have to pay for every individual transaction, regardless of the capacity, regardless of the volume of the transaction. That is considered as base fee. And normally the fees in Lightning Network are in the unit of millisatoshi. So 1 Satoshi is basically 1,000 millisatoshis. But base fee, basically there has been a campaign a few months ago that encourages all the nodes to drop their base fee to 0. I personally put all my base fee to 0 because, yeah, otherwise you won't get any routing at all. But in some cases, if it bothers you, if you find out, I mean, it hasn't been such a case for me for a long time. Sometimes I see that there are very small transactions going through. If it bothers you, if it happens so often, you can just define a little bit of base fee, then you won't be routing those small transactions. So base fee is basically fee per transaction, regardless of the volume of the transaction. PPM is the percentage of the transaction volume. In other words, basically, it means 1 Satoshi per million Satoshi. Or you can say 1 millisatoshi per 1,000 Satoshi. It's the same. It's the same principle. 1 Satoshi per million, or 1 millisatoshi per 1,000. As an example, let's say you have routed a transaction with a volume of 10,000 Satoshis, and you have defined 100 ppm for that channel. So your base fee is 0. Let's say your base fee is 0, but your ppm, you have defined 100 ppm. So 100 ppm, which means you get 100 Satoshis per million sats. But in this case, there is 10,000 Satoshis going through, which means you earn 0.01% transaction fee, which is equal to 1,000 Satoshi, 1,000 millisatoshi, or one Satoshi. So ppm, just you can say, yeah, parts per million, 1 Satoshi per million. And depending if the capacity or if the transaction volume is bigger, basically the percentage wise is the same, but you earn more. So that's about the terminology of routing fees and how to actually update your fees and define fees on your channels. So first I will show you on RTL. So on the section of Lightning section under your peers and channels, you have the list of all of your channels. From the action drop down, you click on update fee policy, and it will show you the base fee, as I said, in millisatoshis. I always define it as 0, and your ppm fee rate. It is shown as milli msats. Oh, you have the percentage below, but this is actually ppm. So 100 ppm is 0.01%. And if you want to do it for all of the channels, you can do it from the action dropdown at the top of the panel. It will show you the update fee policy for all the channels, and you can define a single ppm or single base fee, which will be applied to all of your open channels. And for Thunder Hub, again, you go under channel section, and you click on the channel that you want. Here, like I had to hide some stuff, but click on the channel, you click on update detail, and again, you can define your base fee and the fee rate. And again, you have the option to do it for all the channels. You can, from the channel section, again, you click on the gear icon, change channel detail, you click on change, and then it will show you the window that you can define the fee for all the channels, and it will implement on all the open channels. There is another cool feature in Thunder Hub that you can have a view, like a quick view of all your fees from your side and your peer side. This is something you cannot really see on RTL. You have to individually click on channels and view the fees or view remote fees. But in Thunder Hub, you can go in the stats section, my fee status. If you click on it, it will show you all the channels and all the fees, the base fee and ppm, and you can have a quick glance on the fees from your side. And you can also see the fees that have been defined from your peer side. And on Zeus Wallet, just quickly, if you have paired up your Zeus app with your node, you can go under channel section at the bottom right corner, select the channel that you want, really easy, then click on set new fees, type in the fees and submit it. So Kayvon, do you have any question or?
Yeah, maybe I had some question about the ppm, or how do you set, like how do you on what basis again do you decide like what should be the the routing fees, or the like setting the fees?
That's a really good question. So something to mention, you have to be, if you want to earn some routing fees and if you want to basically have a bit of an adventure to see like the routings going through your node, because it's really interesting. I would always suggest to start from setting really low fees. Base fee, keep it 0. ppm, maybe start from, these days I would say start from 20 or even like 50 maximum. Even 20 would be better. And then keep monitoring, because there are a lot of variables, like how many open channels you have to what nodes and how much liquidity you actually have outbound liquidity, and then keep monitoring which nodes are doing the most routing. And then start, like, you have to be a bit dynamic. Start like raising it a bit until like you find a really sweet spot. Maybe some of your channels, you don't really want them to get drained. Raise the fee on those ones, so there won't be much routing going through them. But if other way around, if there are some of the channels that you want to really get some routing through them, lower the fee, but on a range that's basically, it won't drain your channel. But yeah, you have to be a bit dynamic. I would say start slowly with 20 ppm, 50 ppm, monitor them. Some of the channels might basically behave differently. And then you can raise it over time. But at some point, if you raise it a lot, then you won't get any routing.
Gotcha, thanks. All right.
Great.
Let's go to the next.
Then we get to the watchtower section. So what basically to explain what are watchtowers? Watchtowers are actually other nodes that basically keep monitoring your node while you are offline, and they try to secure your open channels while you're offline. Because in case that your peer tries to close the channel during your offline time, if the peer tries to close the channel in an outdated form, they can do it if you don't have a watchtower, and you will lose your fund. But if you have a watchtower, basically they are watching your node on behalf of yours, and if the other peer tries to close the channel in an outdated state, they get punished, and you gain all the funds of that channel to your on-chain wallet, and the other peer will basically lose all of their funds on the channel. Watchtowers do not store transactions directly. I mean, not to get into all the details, because I'm also, I'm not a coder, but I know that the watchtowers do not store the transactions directly. They just have an encrypted versions of the transactions, and they cannot really control your node. And as I said earlier, so in case of malicious attack by the peer node, watchtowers send a punishing transaction on your node's behalf, and they will take all the funds of the attacker on the channel and sending them all to your node's on-chain wallet. It is very important to use multiple watchtowers and do not depend on a single one, because they might go offline. So it's better to have more than one, but this is something you have to define manually. Once you set up your node, you won't have any watchtower by default. You have to set it up manually.
So let's take a concrete example with my node. I mean, there's only, if you open up, that you had that displayed already on your screenshot, there's only one button, right, with watchtower. So what do you mean by multiple watchtowers? Is that like with command lines or?
Yes. So you mean this button, right?
For example, yeah.
So this button, this will activate your node's watchtower as basically, because your node can be a watchtower of my node, and if you activate this, it will show you your watchtower URL, and I can be your client. You pass me your watchtower server URL, pass it over to me, and I can become your client. So by activating this, it doesn't mean that you will be having watchtowers monitoring your node. It means that now you have a public watchtower URL that you can pass it around to other nodes, and other nodes will be your client. So that is the address that is shown down here. So this is your watchtower URL. Yes, and you can also do it in the terminal. You type in LNCLI tower info. Let me, I hope you know where to find the terminal. I forgot to put the screenshot. But basically, if you go in the settings section,
Yeah, and then there's, I mean, in my node, I know I just go into, Linux terminal,
Yes, exactly. In
and
Linux
that's, where
terminal,
I mean, the best, in Tor, of course, in Tor browser, and it opens up a fresh, window on Tor browser, and
exactly.
this is where you put in, or this is how usually I have to unlock manual every time after every reboot the Lightning net,
Yes. Okay.
LNC unlock, and then
Yeah, so you open your Linux terminal and you type in LNCLI tower info, you will see the same information. So these are some links that maybe you can put in the show notes afterwards, that you can find altruistic or friendly watchtowers that basically you can add their public watchtower address and become their client. You don't have to pay anything for that. It is just from a specific version of LND. I don't remember which version, but watchtowers are basically altruistic. So you don't have to pay, because at some point, I guess, if the watchtower was catching some kind of an outdated transaction, they were getting a portion of that. But now it's free. And you just have to add the watchtower address to become their client, which I will show you how to do it. So in your terminal, you have to use this command, lncli wt client add, and then you just copy and paste the public watchtower address of that specific node. And yeah, make sure it is basically you can use the Tor addresses. And then you should see this response, the blank response. That means basically you have already become a client of that watchtower. And if you want to see all your active basically watchtowers, just type in this command, lncli wt client towers with S at the end, and you see all your watchtowers. But make sure, I mean, if you see the active session candidate is saying true, that means your watchtower is online. That's why I mentioned make sure to have multiple watchtowers. So you see in this screenshot, only one of those watchtowers are online. So that's about watchtowers. And then we move to balance of Satoshis, the application that basically it allows you to interact with your Lightning network through CLI with your Lightning node. And it has basically, you can see all the features, all the commands that you can use. But the unique feature that I love the most, and it is really famous for, is the Telegram API connection. So you can basically pair your Lightning node with your Telegram, and you receive push notification whenever you receive payment, or basically whenever there is a routing going through your node. If someone opens a channel with you, you get auto static channel backup recovery, which is very, very crucial. And that really makes your life much easier, because you always have the latest backup file on your phone, basically on your Telegram account. You can basically create earning reports. You can also even create invoices from your Telegram. But the good point is that you cannot actually make any payments, which is a really good feature. So if someone uses your Telegram, they cannot pay. You cannot make any payments from your API. So we'll go through the installation. So again, you open your Linux terminal. By default, your MyNode, you can install it from your application manager, but yeah, and by default should be installed. But if you want to install it from your terminal, you can use this command using npm command. If you get an error, use sudo npm command, and then you should be good to go. It should work. And then basically to confirm and approve the installation, basically just type in boss help. Then you should see the version, and you see all the commands. Basically, by this point, you can verify that the installation has been successful. And yeah, to run the Telegram command, type in boss Telegram. Now it will activate. Yeah, but before that, if you get any kind of error, by typing this, by typing boss telegram. And if you make sure that that boss is already installed, that means you need to update your JavaScript on your node. And it's really simple to do so. You can either follow these, you can follow this website as well, just 4 commands you have to do in order, and you will install the latest JavaScript on your node. That is in case if you get any kind of error by running this command. But let's say you have updated your JavaScript, no error. So before that, yeah, let's make sure your boss telegram has been working and keep that aside. On your Telegram, open your Telegram and search @bot_fodder in Telegram and message new bot /new bot. And then it will ask you to choose a name for it, choose a username. And yeah, then it will show you a message with a string of HTTP API. This should be kept secure. This is very important. And you also have a link. It will create a bot for you with the name that you have defined. And it has a link to the bot. So just click on the link. It will open up the bot that you have created. And from this page, copy the HTTP API and go back in your terminal that you have the boss telegram command activated. It is asking you to paste the telegram API. Paste it here. And then it will ask you for a connection code. So now you go back to the bot that it has created for you. Find the bot in Telegram, message connect in the bot, start, message connect. It will show you a connection code. And then copy that connection code, paste it here, and then you should receive the connection is true. That means basically the connection has been successful. Yeah, paste in terminal, that's what I said. But yeah, at this point, it's still very important. You shouldn't close terminal, because if you close terminal, the connection gets disrupted and you have to do everything from scratch. Now we have to basically make sure that we define a command that it will keep the boss telegram command always running in background. So in order to do so, click Ctrl+C to go back to be able to type in. And then you have to type in this command. You have to make sure you use your connection code that you received from your Telegram bot. You replace it here. So boss telegram connect, your connection code, and the rest of the string. Then you should receive a message like a number in a bracket. And then again, don't exit it by clicking on the X icon. You have to manually type in exit, and then you log out. Then it will log out. Then by doing this step, we are sure that the command is running on the background. By closing the terminal, everything is still running. And yes, congratulations. Now you can communicate with your node using Telegram, which is really cool. You can type in, you will see all the commands. You see the backup command. You type in backup command, it will send you the SCB file. Even when you close the channel, when someone opens the channel, it will send you a SCB file automatically. It will show you the pending channels, show you the pending transactions, and yeah, all the notification and stuff. So that's about boss Telegram API. Last but not least, I will quickly cover loop services. So loop is basically a service which is offered by Lightning Labs, and it's like a bridge between on-chain and off-chain network. And by using loop as we talked about receiving liquidity, loop will allow you to receive either inbound or outbound liquidity, outbound capacity, but on the existing channel that you already have. But for doing that, there is a minimum and maximum capacity that you can either loop in or loop out, which I believe it is roughly from 250,000 Satoshis to 6 million Satoshis. And you also have to cover the fees. So the fees, apart from the routing fee that you have to pay for the on-chain fee, which is the fee that your transaction should get confirmed on-chain. And you have to pay a service fee to loop, which is something around 0.1 to 1%. This is basically depending on the amount, the volume that you want to loop in or loop out. The more you do, the lower the service fee. But in general, it is a bit high. And even the on-chain fees, even if you try during the time that the mempool is not crowded, because you cannot type in manually the fee that you want. You can just type in the confirmation target block, but they usually overpay. They overpay the on-chain fee. So just to,
is it better to do this on weekends, right? When the mempool is more cleared, like, or doesn't it, or it doesn't matter?
Yeah, it is better, but in general, what I have experienced, they still they charge you much more. Even if you say like there is only one block waiting for confirmation, and you define 6 confirmation block when you want to loop out, they overpay your transaction by 6 or 10 times. So you can't get a confirmation by, like, let's say 1 or 2 Satoshi per value byte, but then they pay it with like 20 Satoshi per value byte. But the loop service, I wouldn't really recommending using it to have capacity on your channels, but it is only recommended in case that, let's say, you really want to get your funds from back to the on-chain, from off-chain, off of the off-chain and back to the on-chain. And by doing so, let's say you have a 1 million Satoshi channel open. I have a 1 million Satoshi channel open with UK1, which all the fund is at my side as an outbound liquidity. And then let's say I can loop out half of it. I loop out 500,000 Satoshis, which means I send it off chain on Lightning to loop, and they send me an on-chain transaction back to my on-chain wallet. But they deduct the fee, so I don't get 500,000 Satoshis. I might end up getting 490,000 Satoshis. You have to pay the on-chain fee. You have to pay the routing fee in case if there is, like, from your node to loop node, to the fee that you have to cover for the routing to reach their node. That's what I call here routing fees. I have to cover the routing fee as well, the on-chain fee, as I explained, as well as the service fee. So that is loop out. The loop in is similar principle, but other way around. Let's say I have a channel with you, 500,000 Satoshi on my side, 500,000 Satoshi on your side and my side. And I can loop in from the channel that I have with you, but I have a maximum threshold of 500,000 Satoshis that I can receive from your channel. So I loop in, I receive it on our channel from the capacity that I have opened from you. I cannot exceed 500,000 Satoshis because I cannot receive more than 500,000 Satoshis. Then I loop in, basically, then that much that I loop in, I'm able to spend it, use it and spend it. But again, for loop in, again, I have to cover all these fees, the routing, on-chain, and service fee.
Great, yeah, it's a lot of technical. Yeah, but I mean, it's, what we're gonna do. We're gonna definitely either you or me, or you can. I don't know. Do you have this PDF, the slideshow as a PDF on your drive, on your Google Drive, or I can put it on my Google Drive and then sort of make it publicly.
Yes, absolutely.
So people can just go directly into the PDF, and if they need to follow instructions, maybe.
Absolutely. Yeah, I will send it to you afterwards. Sure.
I think I have the PDF, but I'm not sure whether I have the latest version.
No, I think I made some changes. I will send you the latest one. So here are just some screenshots how you can use loop. So you can either do it from Lightning Terminal, which for my node users, you can access it from your dashboard again. You just you have the password, you open it, it will open this page. You can select the channel. It will actually recommend you if you can do the loop out or loop in. Obviously, if you have more of the satoshis, more of the capacity on your side, on your local balance, you can do loop out, and vice versa. You can do loop in. You can also do it from RTL. They have it as an integrated service. Yes, it is integrated from there. You can do it on individual channels from action dropdown, loop out, or you can easily go in the loop section and do the loop in or loop out. And this is what you will see. You define the amount. You define the confirmation target, but as I have tried it, that won't, you will end up paying more for the on-chain fee. Even if you define 6 and mempool is not crowded, then you will check the transaction, they overpaid it by 10 or 15 times. And maximum off-chain routing fee that you're willing to pay, of course, if it exceeds, then basically your transaction will get failed and you won't be able to do loop out. You have to make sure you cover the routing fees. And you can also do it from the terminal. If you're a bit more sophisticated, from your terminal, you just type in loop, you will see all the commands. You can easily do loop in, loop out, define the amount and the channel. From Thunder Hub, you can also do it, but this is another service covered, basically, it's offered by Bolt, which is called Swap, but it's the same principle. But here you also see the fee, the minimum and maximum that you can do. That was pretty much it. Yes.
That was amazing. Thanks, man. That was amazing.
Thank you.
So Arman, I mean, we probably have to talk, or I have to ask maybe a developer or somebody, you know, in the technical field. Do you think some of the steps could be even more simplified for beginners, or, you know, being by default more automated, or, you know, just taking off also the risk? Is, you think in the process?
I get your point. I think it is definitely, it's moving towards the point that it will get more user friendly. For example, I mean, look at the Telegram API, for instance. I know it is still a bit, it requires some effort to make the connection, but then once you have it, then for instance, you have a simple connection to your node, to your Lightning node. You can communicate with it wherever you are, whenever you want, and you get your channel backup on regular basis. So there is no risk of losing your fund, even if your node crashes and whatever happens. But definitely, I mean, I know like there are a lot of developers, of course, they are putting all their efforts to it. I mean,
yeah,
just
you know, I'm not saying it's like it's. I mean, just following instructions should be easy and simple. You know, for even for the average user. I'm just saying, it takes probably someone who's really like busy and stressed out, and, you know, has a lot of things to do, like, you know, job, family, and it might be a little bit too burdensome, like to you know, constantly watch and see everything is okay, and, you know, rebalance and. I'm not sure. I mean, if people want to learn, they learn. You know, they educate themselves. They get, you know, they're self-empowered, and it's all a matter, you know, of willingness and intention behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, as I said in the beginning of the show, you have the option to do it, and if you really want to see how it works, you have to do it, and you have to get your hands dirty. And you see that the routings, you see like how changing your channel fee will affect the routings. But if you don't really want to bother, you have the option to just download the Phoenix wallet, and yeah, but I wouldn't put that much liquidity on Phoenix
exactly,
that I put on my own node.
Yeah,
because I want to contribute more, and I feel safer doing it with my own node.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, you know, it's about being self-sovereign, and
exactly,
you know, not your keys, not your coin. Don't trust, verify, and and just learning the steps in between. And then you have the full certainty, the total certainty that, everything is, every step you take is like self-verified and
Yes.
self-confirmed, and self-sovereign. And I think this is the ultimate goal for all of us, right? How many channels I mean, how many is there? I heard, first of all, in Germany there's the highest number of nodes and channels, or am I mixing something up?
No, I think you're right. I think Germany has been really spiking.
Yeah.
I mean, you can even on Lightning Network Plus, you can track how many new users are adding, and they are registering with the with Lightning Network Plus. So, in a month time, from like mid-September until today, there are almost 1,000 new users.
Wow. And how many Bitcoin, I think 3,000, 4,000 Bitcoin are locked in Lightning? Is that
Total network capacity is, yes, 3,110 Bitcoin.
Wow. Yeah. And it's going to grow exponentially. We will
Absolutely.
see
Absolutely.
an S curve, I think, on every
Absolutely.
level. I think it has never been so bullish.
No,
On
no,
every
I mean,
level, not only, it's not about number go up, I mean, I'm sick and tired of this. I think hopefully we're gonna just usher into the purchasing power mindset,
absolutely.
Fuck all that fiat denominated bullshit. I mean, we're talking about like absolute scarcity, and in accordance and in conformity with the absolute scarcity of Bitcoin, then we know the real purchasing power of every single set, once we reach parity.
Absolutely.
I even forget parity. I mean, parity means, one set means 1 cent, right? Or 1 set, what means whatever. So, no, it was really, mind blowing. Arman, any other final, any other information, resources, links? I'm going to put up the PDF file as a public accessible link.
Yes, let's provide that PDF file. I will try to somehow help the Farsi community. I mean, there are a lot of brilliant people like Zia, a lot of people that but yeah, trying to somehow instruct as much as I can. Put this stuff in Farsi as well. But just run your node. I mean, for me personally, for example, if whenever I want to buy something, if there is an option to pay with Lightning, I just pay with Lightning, because I know that I'm DCAing and do my payment in Lightning, and the merchant has the option to keep it as. And once it really catches on, no one really has to deal with the on-chain transactions. That's another point that I believe that it's really good that we have the chance at the moment to open our channels to learn some stuff and be prepared, because at some point it will be costing some hard-earned sats to open a channel.
Exactly. No, I think it's going to become simplified, more accessible, more. I mean, just the whole process of Bitcoin transactions and creating a wallet. I mean, it's gotten even a lot of OGs or technical people who were there from the beginning. They all say it's like totally different, and it has evolved exponentially. With it's your own security, or creating Bitcoin wallet, or cold storage, and eventually the whole Lightning package. It's going to become easier.
Absolutely.
Okay, where can people find you? Any other links or plugins?
No, I'm in LinkedIn as my full name, Arman Tale, and Twitter, sometimes shit posting, Arman Ellen Huddle, and that's it.
Super. Well, man, catch you soon. Hope we're gonna do another episode. Hopefully, maybe with some other, Bitcoiners or some Persian people, Bitcoinism from Iran, or I think it's important that we pick up the people where they are positioned right now, and inspire also other people who are not into Bitcoin yet, but at least give them the inspiration and the power, the tools of empowerment, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, Amran, thank you so much. I'll
Thank
talk to
you.
you soon. Okay.
Thanks, Kevin.